Is it a beautiful day or what? I know it was a little rainy before, but we got a nice little cloudless window for us, so very exciting. Master Brokers, please join me in welcoming your membership chair for all time, Claudia Lewis.
Okay, you have to stay quiet because I can't talk loud like Jason does. But as probably you all know, I've been the membership chair for like a million years at least. And I know all of you by name and most of you by face. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to welcome, every month we have our board meeting and we go over applications of people who want to be in the organization. And it's been amazing over the last couple of years because every month we bring in new people. And so tonight we do have at least one new member and maybe a couple more here. So if you are a new member that joined recently, would you please stand up? Oh, awesome. Awesome. That's wonderful. Speaking on behalf of the board, we would like to warmly welcome all of you. And if you didn't already know, we want you to know that one of the reasons that this organization is so important to those of us who have been involved in it for a very long time is that we all really do network with one another. We show each other's properties and we're very supportive of each other's properties and of each other in everything that we do. And you'll find, as you've been a member for a while, that you'll start when you're going through listings, you're looking for ones with familiar names, and it's usually the people from Master Brokers, and it's really nice working with other Master Brokers. So um, I want to introduce to you our president and leader for the last, many years? A few years. So this is Ileana.
Not for very long. I'm stepping down soon. Well, hello, Master Brokers. Good evening. So happy to see you all here. Um, I'm usually I'm used to having a podium here, but it's okay. So I just wanted to say that we want to first thank very much Terra Group and Miami Tropic Residences for welcoming us this evening. This is a gorgeous, beautiful event. And let me begin by saying that we are really loving this concept of for years now we've been seeing the projects being branded with car names, Porsche, Aston Martin, Mercedes. But this thing with the fine dining, this is on another level.
Yes, this is great.
This is beautiful. And I think we all love a good meal, don't we? So tonight we'll enjoy some delicious food, and this is a mouthful, from Chef Sean George. And I'm not gonna say the last name. I'll skip that one. A little later, we'll have more of the beautiful food that we've been sharing tonight. But the topic of tonight's discussion, it's the Miami Magnet. And who is not excited to hear the word Miami? It used to be a bad word back in the day. Not anymore. Not anymore. How buyers and businesses are continuing to flock to Miami, to the Magic City as we call it. We all know how the pandemic kind of accelerated this and the mass migration of companies, high net worth individuals, and companies moving to South Florida. But the truth of matter, and you guys are responsible for some of this, is that the trends that we enjoy today did not begin yesterday or did not happen on their own. Long before and during and since the pandemic, the greatness of Miami has been pitched aggressively and creatively by fantastic economic development organizations like the ones represented here tonight, the Miami Dade Beacon Council, the Miami Downtown Development Authority, among others. And in just a few moments, we will learn about these amazing groups, hear how their work impacts our industry, and meet some of the dynamic leaders that are behind this effort of promoting Miami. Um, and speaking of success, where is Mr. Campanella and his son? back there, stand up to be recognized. So we are very happy and delighted to have renewed our wonderful membership partnership with City National Bank. Um, if any of you are looking for a professional, someone that's going to get the job done, give them a call. These are the people. And right now, so I would like for Ann Norman, the sales director for this beautiful project, to come and present. And go in what you have.
Okay, hi everyone. First, I want to welcome you here. It's so nice to see, super happy to have you here, and it's so nice to see a lot of my old friends, or young friends that I've known for a long time, we should say. Um, I'm going to keep it short because you have your panel, but I just wanted to do a quick introduction of the project. It's a really, really exciting project for a number of different reasons. We're talking about Miami, and I think one of the most exciting things about the project is the location. So we're located right next door. Many of you probably parked on our site, and we're right on the edge of Midtown and the Design District. So when I talk about the location, I always talk about the three neighborhoods. The Design District brings us that amazing luxury branding. Midtown brings us convenience, and then we have Wynwood, which is just fun. So we identify most with the Design District because we have a similar level of luxury and quality. We absolutely love being on the edge of Midtown. It's got all the conveniences for everyday living, um, hair salons, Trader Joe's, nail salons, gyms. So this is where people go every single day. And it's fantastic to be next to the Design District with all of the art and culture, architecture, retail. So the other exciting thing about the project is Jean George. So we're so happy to be bringing Terra Group, put this incredible team together with Yabu Pushelberg as the interior designer, Architectonica, and Jean George is our food and beverage and lifestyle partner. So I'm going to play a video, if I could have some help from with Jean George talking about the project. He does a much better job than me, and he's got a nicer accent as well.
My name is Jean-Georges Van Geersten. I'm a chef and an entrepreneur as well. When I was 16 years old, my parents took me for my birthday to a three-star Michelin. I was like, I couldn't believe people make a living out of food. The ballet of the waiters, the whole choreography of the people working in the restaurant was like fascinating to me. And I started to myself in a restaurant. Today we have 65 restaurants globally in 5 continents. I think lifestyle is what I like to focus on. Extend my know-how on the aesthetic of the next step. So the Miami Tropic would be the first residential project with my signature on it. Oh, I mean, detail is important. So for me, architecture, design, lighting, you want people to remember something. It's really delightful to be working closely with the Terra Group on working with the Yabo Pushabird. It's pretty a wonderful collaboration on every level. Bottom of the building will have an ABC kitchen, ABC Latino, which is Cristina, on our vegan restaurant. So we'll really offer the trilogy of ABC kitchens. Through the building, there's different activation as well on different floors. We have El Cafe, we have a beautiful pool area, there's a rooftop as well upstairs. Be able to see the city, but see the ocean. So I think it's important to bring the outside in. Talking about lifestyle, I think the Miami Design District is all about art and on style and boutiques. So being a few blocks away, that's a dream come true. I mean, home to me means the place you spend probably half your life. And that's where you relax, that's where you invite friends, family, that's where you live. So home is really a place that you have to be comfortable and enjoy every moment, So the Miami Tropic really going to be the ultimate pampering of experience. It's Miami living.
So I have to agree with you that the culinary brands or the hospitality brands are really the best for branding these buildings. I think that the hospitality brands, they like, we want to be pampered, we want to be taken care of, and that's so it's always a very good fit. So I'll just give you a few quick details about the project. I invite you all back for a full presentation when we have time, but I'll give you a few quick details about the project. So it's a 49-story building with 329 units, 1 to 4 bedrooms. Pricing ranges from about $1 million to about $5.5 million, not including the penthouses. Amazing finishes. We're delivering with the master closets, the beautiful kitchens and bathrooms that you see in the showroom, the flooring that you see in the showroom, 54,000 square feet of amenities. We also have a 10,000 square foot Jean Georges restaurant, which is open to the public on the ground floor, and an additional private restaurant on the 8th floor. So I will hand it off to the panel next. But
Thank you.
thank you again.
Thank you so much. So, and now to moderate our important conversation, please welcome tonight's moderator, my friend and Master Brokers Forum, Andres Asio.
Thank you, Yana. Thank you, Terra Group. Thank you for that great presentation. You know, what you were saying in the video, it feels like a Michelin-rated residences, right? It's to that level, and I think it's a great way of saying it. So, as Ileana mentioned, Miami has experienced a dramatic surge of wealth, innovation, and brain power coming in the last 5 years. We're so much of that success due to a lot of the economic development. Um, Miami has many groups helping bring this, whether it's GNCV, whether it's the Beacon Council, the DDA, different chambers of commerce. But we have two of the best right here with us today, and we're going to learn a lot from them and take some of their brain power with us so we can share that with our clients. Consider some of this data. With more than 100,000 residents, thousands of businesses, and more than 6 million annual visitors, downtown Miami has become a financial driver for the entire state of Florida with an economic impact of $38 billion. Last year, 45 companies worked with the Beacon Council to expand or relocate to Greater Miami over the past year, committing to more than 10,000 new jobs and more than 800 million in new capital invested, which will contribute to 2.54 billion annual to the Greater Miami area, which is amazing. Big job. Thank you to the two of you for helping in that process. But we have here many questions to explore tonight. And here we have post-pandemic trends. Are they going to be sustainable? Are they going to continue? How is that going to happen? We're going to ask some interesting questions. We're going to touch on tariffs. We're going to touch on real estate. It's going to get interesting. Why not? Here to answer some of those questions are two talented professionals who will tell us about their organizations and what we can expect in the coming months and years. We'll ask each of them to provide us with a short presentation and then a quick discussion. Let's begin by welcoming Tatiana Silva, Chief Business Development Officer from the Miami-Dade Beacon Council. Tatiana brings 16 years of global experience in sales, strategy, and operations roles in Google across the US, Latin America, and Europe, fluent in English, Spanish, Portuguese. She has lived and worked in Brazil, the Netherlands, New York, Silicon Valley, giving her a deep understanding of the cross-cultural business expansions. At Google, she led high-impact initiatives from cloud migration strategies, driving innovation and results with global companies like Booking.com and Just Eat Takeaway. Tatiana is also passionate about inclusion, having a co-led Google's women's chapter in Amsterdam and mentoring students at Harvard Business School with a background in electrical engineering from Unicamp in Brazil and executive education from Stanford. She combines technical expertise with her strategic leadership. Let's welcome Tatiana.
Oh my gosh. So, you're probably wondering, what in the world is this tech lady doing here in Florida, trying to propel economic growth? So the reality is, to me, it's very easy to tell the story to business owners as to why I've decided to move myself and my family to this community. It's about economic growth, it's about diversity of opportunities, it's about having a place where everyone can prosper. We are more than 50% of this population being foreign born, and we are in an incredible economic moment when it pertains to the moment that the state is living in, as well as our county. So thank you so much, Andres, for the introduction. I think one of the things that I would like to do today in my role as Chief Business Development Officer for the Beacon Council is to share a little bit of insights with this group, as in how do I tell the the story of why business owners should consider Miami-Dade as the place to be to grow their businesses, right? My job is maybe easier, right? Selling why you should consider Miami, but you'll be surprised. There's a lot of misconception in terms of what Greater Miami is about. Yes, it's about the quality of life. Yes, it is about, our beautiful region, but there's something about the diversity of workforce, the talent that we have here, as well as it is a large county with 34 municipalities, and there's a lot of value for business owners to unlock once they're here. So I will share you a little bit of how I paint that picture. One, which is the story of economic growth of Florida and Miami-Dade County, which is beautiful. I love when numbers tell the story. I'm an engineer. The second piece is around, as a business owner, once you're here, what kind of capital do I have access to? How the financing system is like. And then after that, it's my favorite part of the story, the simplicity of doing business, the fiscal environment. Like those are, I summarized the whole presentation to you guys, but those are basically the key arguments that we use when trying to entice business owners to move here. I'm going to move along quickly because I know we don't have a lot of time, but hopefully it will give you some insight in terms of how we have the dialogue to ensure that the likes of Amazon, Apple, and so many others really consider relocating here or expanding their businesses in our community. Alrighty, so that's my first killer slide, especially when you're trying to entice foreign investors. So Florida is the fourth largest U.S. economy. We are bigger than Spain, right? So if you think about you're in Latin America, you want to have access to the U.S. market, you can spend a lot of time in Florida alone, right? And the fact that we are the fastest growing economy in the United States. It was 9.8. I looked at the 2024 data. It is now 9.2%, with the Miami metropolitan area accounting for a third of that GDP. There is your economic argument. The other thing, as you think about Greater Miami and the hub that we represent, we're the ninth largest metropolitan area. We have an international banking system by default. We have the number 3 airport. So if you're thinking, if you're, titan of manufacturing and trade logistics in South America and Europe, you want to be paying a closer look to those numbers. And last but not least, the economic momentum, the job creation engine that will make it so that we continue to have the talent, that we continue to have an attractive market for individuals to relocate here. We are outpacing the job creation in the nation. Those are data points from 2024. So you have a sense. Our metropolitan area, in terms of percentage points, was the number one from a growth perspective in July of 2024. And our financial system, right? The finance sector in Miami-Dade County grew at 3 times the rate of the rest of the economy. Yes, we know the story of Citadel, we know the story of Millennium. So as a business owner, you look at these things and you think about not only, yes, wealthy people are here for leisure, but there's also a robust financing environment if you want to invest here, grow your business here. This is so important. Oop. All right. If you're a tech owner, right? If you have a startup or you have a software company, you're a tech billionaire, centimillionaire. The fact that there is tremendous activity both for you to add to your tech portfolio as well as to start new ventures, I think it's pretty telling. So, for those of you who do not know, we had a big tech conference here called Emerge Americas, I think last week, where we have companies from all over Latin America and Europe coming here to raise funds, to engage with their local community. And the fact that Florida is a top 10 state for venture deals is also very telling. Oop. One of the things that I like to point out is Miami, this is the deal value, so $2.2 billion in venture capital being deployed last year. Yes, the big blue bar is the Bay Area. The tiny yellow bar is the Miami metropolitan area. We are a top 10 market, but let me peel the layers on the big blue bar. $96 billion in venture capital. 42% in 5 companies. So the story that we tell to tech entrepreneurs, to business owners is, yes, there's plenty of capital in the Bay Area, but it's highly concentrated at the top. As a business owner, you're probably going to find easier time to raise capital here, where there's plenty of wealthy people, a robust financial system, where you're not being crowded with the giants of the world. We have a whole robust life sciences and healthcare sector that, not sure if everybody knew this, but we are the second largest medical device manufacturing industry in the United States, second to Boston. So as you engage business owners, right, there is the lifestyle, quality of life things to consider, but also, is there an opportunity for me to bring my business there? And the answer is yes. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Whoop. So this is kind of the point by point as to why it's easier to do business here than elsewhere. But to me, this is the killer slide. The tax bit, right? Both from a personal income tax perspective, corporate tax, sales tax. We are in Florida. We don't even think about these things. But as you're enticing wealthy individuals to move here, the ability to do business, the simplicity of regulations, as well as how much more money your company and yourself get to keep, is such an important argument to be made. Alrighty, I'm gonna move ahead. I'm gonna skip this one. One watch out, and this is, once again, purely from a commercial real estate perspective. Some of the things that we've been noticing amongst potential investors coming to Miami-Dade County is that the price point of commercial properties is becoming quite similar. So Miami-Dade County is the blue line, and you have Bay Area, New York, Chicago, Boston, and DC. So the price points are becoming quite close to the high cost, high complexity states. We're still attractive from the perspective of taxation. But the part that I go in is, as you think about the wider county and the different municipalities, especially for certain types of businesses, it's important to look beneath the surface, right? So you can see something like, hang on a second. I'll share these tables with you guys. We did this research in partnership with Savills and Donna Bood fantastically. But the idea being, depending on the type of business that you're trying to land, there are different price points within our community. Alrighty. So that's that. We are the Miami-Dade Beacon Council. We are the official economic development organization for Miami-Dade County. My role is to support existing businesses with their expansion plans, as well as entice different businesses to land in our community. We do that by supporting with a number of different things. This is our impact over the last 40 years: job creation, capital investment, And we do these things by supporting with site selection, tax incentives, research, you name it. So I hope we can become friends from now on. We want to be true partners to business leaders within our community and those who are interested in moving here. So thank you.
Thank you, Tatiana. And then we'll go a little bit later on the story of how she moved here because her story is a real story that many of our clients are going through. Yes. Yeah, we for sure. We will. We will for sure. So thank you, Tatiana, for that. So Beacon Council in general, Miami-Dade County has the Beacon Council as that economic driver in general that covers the whole entire county. And now I'm going to talk about MJ, and MJ is going to talk to us about the DDA. And the DDA focuses more narrowly on the whole downtown Brickell area specifically, and he's going to give you a great presentation. So let me welcome MJ Green, Chief Economic Development and Strategy Officer for Miami DDA. In his position, MJ leads business attraction and retention efforts to keep Miami's momentum going, supporting companies of all sizes in the DDA district. Previously, he serves as Deputy Director of Innovation and Economic Development for the Miami-Dade County under Mayor Daniela Levine Cava. MJ's background spans finance, community development, with expertise at Bank of America, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and the Bank of Montreal. He co-founded the Africa Town Land Trust in Seattle and later moved to Miami to lead local community development financial institution efforts, including the award-winning RISE Fund, which supported 900 businesses and saved 4,500 jobs during the pandemic. MJ serves on numerous boards focused on economic equity, small business, and education, recognized with multiple awards for community impact. He is passionate advocate for wealth building in underserved communities. Let's give a round welcome to MJB. Conteo.
Everybody. Yes. Awesome. As they mentioned, I'm MJ Green, Chief of Economic Development for the Miami DDA. But DDA is an amazing organization. I just want to give a shout out to Alicia Severa. She's sitting right here. She is a businessmatic and a true amazing female business leader in our community, and she is on our board. And so I appreciate the advice and counsel that she gives us to consider her not only a business partner, but also a friend. And so the DDA is a quasi-governmental entity set up by the city of Miami to really spur economic development in Brickell, the Central Business District, which we call downtown, greater downtown, the Arts and Entertainment Districts. And so that's where the Heat Stadium is, where Miami World Center is, where the PAM and the Perez Art Museum are, as well as a little bit of Edgewater. We do and really think of economic development in a real holistic fashion, right? And so that's everything from business in the office towers, ground floor retail, the residents, cleaning the streets, and all of those different things. We do work with business, right? And so that's a wonderful picture of me and some of our teammates. Miami continues to grow. We are really interested in all the conversations we have. I would say, when I first moved to Miami 7 years ago from Seattle, one of the things that people would always say is that Miami is a gateway to Latin America. Miami is a gateway to Latin America. Miami is a gateway to that is true, but I think that Miami now is a true global business hub. No longer am I having conversations with just individuals from Latin America, but conversations with people all over the world, and especially I think Europe, and even more recently, I don't know if you've seen statistics, but some of the folks that are buying the blip in commercial real estate and also residential are actually coming from individuals from India. And so I think that Miami now is this global business work that's in this room. And so our incentive program has three real primary buckets. Ground floor retail, and so we look to incentivize all business types into ground floor retail locations, and that's a $50,000 grant. We also look to work with startups. My colleague here mentioned Emerge and how Emerge is one of the biggest tech conferences in the United States, and we want to continue to grow that startup culture that's here. And so we look to work with them and incentivize them to grow and ideate their ideas here as well.
MJ, 1 second, because you said that pretty quickly, and I want to make sure that people
Sorry, I talk fast.
that, yeah,
I can talk slower.
but I want you to elaborate on that. You said $50,000 grant.
Yes.
Who does that go to, and how does somebody get a grant like that?
So that goes to the business. And so that grant is, as long as we like to keep it simple, right? Our board, our leadership, we want to make it easy for people to move here. And so as long as you open up a place that's on the ground floor or the office tower, and you sign a 3-year lease, and you're not in sin businesses, which are traditionally tobacco, alcohol, firearms, all of those, 30 days after you open, DDA gives you a check for $50,000.
That's amazing.
And so I mentioned the ground floor retail, the startups, but also, we really focus in the past on traditional office space, right? All the beautiful corporate office towers. I am blessed and lucky to work for the DDA, and the DDA really stewards the most expensive real estate in the state of Florida, which is Brickell, downtown, Edgewater, and the Arts District. This is a little bit about the programs. Take that photo, but also I've got a digital QR code in my phone. I can get this picture to you. I think I'm losing my mic, so I'm just going to switch. Facade program. Downtown's going through a massive change. We've seen the development in the Brickell City Center as the nicest mall in America architecturally. But we want to continue it all the way through, right? And so we work with landowners to make facade improvements. If you mix the retail grants with the facade grants, you're looking at up to about $100,000 for a new business moving into the district. Lighting program, illumination. I would argue anybody here that works in design, lighting is everything, right? And so as we find dark areas downtown, as we work with other businesses, we want to make sure that we're able to really turn the lights on in this beautiful city, right? And so the lighting program, similar to that, is a $25,000 grant for individuals to add lighting, signage, or whatever that might be. Permit clinic. Now, this is something that I think has gotten more and more shine, but I'm sure everyone in this room knows somehow how difficult the permit process can be in Miami. I hope we don't get any questions about that. But that is something that the DDA has realized. And we actually, in the next couple of weeks, will be having our celebration for our 100th permit clinic. But we have helped thousands of individuals, business owners, residential as well. It's not only for businesses. Every single Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., not only people from the city, the county, Durham, water and sewer, the fire department are there to be able to answer those questions. Sometimes, unfortunately, in both the county and the city, it's a little bit of who to know and being able to have the right people to get the process done. We bring all those people to the table and help usher that through. So I highly recommend, if you have someone that's looking to make a change in any of the amazing condos or residential units that they're looking to buy, have them come by the permit clinic and we will assist them and hold them hand in hand in that process. And once again, that's every Thursday.
And this is not the ticket clinic. This is the permit clinic.
Yeah. We might start selling tickets. No, I'm just joking. No, this is 100% free. Myrna, who's not in this picture, she works on my team, but Wanda is there every single day. It's located right on Flagler Street. And I just highly recommend, if you are having some type of issue, again, it's free. Come, stop by, and we will help you and hold you hand in hand in being able to accomplish whatever your goal is. Downtown collaborator grants. Again, I have a couple of sayings. One is that true economic development doesn't happen without massive amounts of partnership. Sorry. True economic development does not happen without massive amounts of partnership. Um, the Downtown Collaborator Grants. We have a program that opens up every summer where we do grants to, I think last year was 71 recipients, somewhere between $5,000 to $50,000 for all a variety of events that happen within our district. One of the things that makes Miami special is that we have some of the greatest event producers, event planners that you can ever think of. And so continuing to support them, continue to support the cultural events, the artistic events, the events for children's, dogs, and the like, we want to do that. And we know that that has economic impact. Business roundtables. Although we give out money, and I think the $50,000 grants are hugely important, it's also about making those meaningful business connections. If I'm able to make a business connection with you and a business that you're looking to work with, that could be worth millions of dollars, and that's well more than the $50,000. So we host a bunch of different roundtables, everything from finance, healthcare. Also, I'm really, excited about the longevity space here in Miami. And so we bring those people together and have different conversations to try to make those business connections.
And also very important that Adis is a board member. but you don't have to be a board member to also attend the meetings, correct?
All of our meetings are posted online. They are all open to the public. I don't know if you're asking a question or telling me 2 minutes. Question, real quick, I guess. Where's money coming from for these grants? The money for the grants comes from a portion of the property taxes. So for individuals that are located within the district, commercial and residential, a portion of their property taxes go to fund the organization. Really quickly, because I know we're running out of time and we'll talk about this a little bit. Why Miami? Why Miami? Again, I mentioned the gateway to Latin America, but also the diversity that's here. Not only does Miami have a diversity in people, Miami has a diversity in business. Miami has a diversity in resources and topography, right? So 90% of the green beans that are in America that people eat, 90% of the succulents that you purchase all come from Homestead. Name another place that also has Art Basel as well as that much production of fruits and vegetables. We have the number one cargo airport in America and the number two cruise port or cargo port in America, right? And so those are the major opportunities, and we'll talk a little bit about tariffs and those different things, but I think that that's a feather in our cap. Business friendly environment, my colleague touched on that. Diverse talent pool, economic sectors, I know I'm running out of time, quality of life, infrastructure. What I want to say at the very end is that I think that Miami is the quintessential American dream. I got another question over there.
Hold the questions to the end. I promise you, we're
Sure.
gonna get to questions. I promise.
My last thing is I think that Miami is a quintessential American dream. It's people coming from all over the world, different backgrounds, different dreams, coming to a place to be successful. And I think that that's what continue to keep Miami successful. I look forward to partnering with everybody in this room to continue to do that. And I thank you for the work that you guys have been able to do to make this the greatest place in the world to live, work, and play.
Thank you so much. With some chairs over here. So awesome. So, we have two amazing ambassadors of Miami that just spoke to us right now. We're going to ask them a whole bunch of questions. But I consider myself an ambassador of Miami, and all of you are ambassadors of Miami. We're constantly selling the dream of why live in Miami, why live in South Florida, right? So we focus 30,000 feet of why live here, and then we start narrowing down to one of our 34 cities. Then we narrow down to one of the neighborhoods in that city, because obviously not only do we have 34 cities, but right here we have Edgewater, Design District, Midtown, Wynwood. There's 4 neighborhoods just right here. So as real estate agents, we're there as the pros to not only educate them on that, but also lead them to great people like this. So having this, this power of information just makes us all that much better. So, Tatiana has a great story. She was in New York, her and her husband, which is here somewhere, they were living in New York. They were selling a business. They ended up moving over to South Florida for many of the reasons that she explained in that PowerPoint presentation. She was like, I like this PowerPoint presentation. We gotta move to Florida before we sell. And then she ends up going to where? California? Tell us a little bit about that and why you ended up coming back and, choosing Miami as your home, please.
Yes. Is it okay? We're good. All right. So, our story, is an interesting one on which I was a tech exec for a little while, and a lot of the pull is on the job, on the circumstances. So, New York, where we stay, family was lucky enough to have an exit while we were living in Europe, actually. And we wanted to time in a way that, it would be advantageous. So, we spent a little time here in Florida, and this was during COVID. So, at some point in time, Google was like, everybody back to the office. So, schlepped my way back to California. And we spent about 3 years there. You're saying, okay, so is this it? Is this where we're going to raise the kids? Is this where, he's probably going to start a business? Is this the right place for us to do that? And we actually engage in the process of looking at real estate and all those good things. But, as you look at the regulatory environment, the relationship with workers, the taxation, and all those different things, it just didn't make sense, right? I'm from Brazil originally, so there's that other element as well of being a community that is diverse, but not from the perspective of Chinese and Indians, which great people, But from a cultural perspective, there's also that element, right? That the Bay Area, that's what the primary communities were. So we looked at all these things: taxation, community, quality of life, proximity to our families, and frankly, this schools, business upside. So we had this long-term relationship with Florida for a while. We've been coming here once a year for the past decade, and the answer was there. Why Key Biscayne?
So she they stay low name of she was saying they go Rufus and she ended up the king. So thank you for that story. Because that is the story of so many people that had, dabbled in to I moved to Miami. COVID helped that process, and you ended up coming back and more glad that you did. So let's roll into the questions. First question: where do you hit up on tariffs? Tariffs have been a big story for the past 2 weeks. How do you see them impacting Miami? Is there, a light at the end of the tunnel here to tell a little strip back?
All right. So this is an interesting one, right? Because I want to say early February, I was in Brazil with on a mission with the Department of Commerce and other EDOs from across the United States, and a lot of the sentiment, and this was before the announcement last week, a lot of the sentiment was a sentiment of urgency or a sentiment of pause. What I mean by that, in this current environment, we see two types of business owners, especially abroad. The ones that think that it's too complicated, it's moving too fast, I don't want to make any big decisions right now. And those types that simply cannot afford to be locked up out of the US system, be it because it's the largest consumer market in the world, that's 30% of the global consumer market, it's right here in the United States. Be it because they are already too dependent. Certain businesses in Brazil had more than 60-70% of their revenue coming from the United States. So with that only certainty, I cannot be out of that market. There is this sense of urgency to say, hey, is there a company I can buy? Is there a third-party manufacturer that I can partner with? So we really see those two sides of the scale. I'm a political, by the way. That's the role of an economic development organization. What we're focusing on is in those instances where there is the urgency of being here and not being priced out of this market as a business owner is too great. How can we support those business owners? How can we make connections with local companies that want to be acquired, with third-party manufacturers to fasten that path into landing in the United States? And the fact that Miami-Dade has such a diversity of logistics options can be the perfect landing ground for someone who wants to come into the US market. We are
So
here to support business leaders.
just like we, the COVID situation in South Florida, we made great lemonade. Hopefully, we could continue to make lemonade in situations like this. MJ, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I really would. So I mentioned a couple things before, and I would say, my bio, I spent a portion of my career in wealth management. I like to think of things as only opportunities. And the opportunity here is, I mentioned the airport. In one of the ways, Miami was lucky enough to be a little bit ahead of this trend and is making massive investments into the cargo portion of our airport. And so if you think about what I mentioned around Homestead and all of the fruits and vegetables that they sell, tariffs is a massive opportunity for those farmers and being able to get those products across the rest of America. The county and the cities have also made investments and will continue to make investments in the cruise or the cargo port, right? And they're building an inland port to be able to get things to the airport a bit quicker. That is going to be huge. And the nearshoring of products has been a thing for quite some time. And so seeing that trend and jumping on that opportunity, I think from a business perspective, if there is a place that's going to benefit from that in America at all, it actually is going to be Miami-Dade County. And that's because of the investments that we're making in the airport and we're making in the cruise port as well. And so I think that, there'll be some issues around price and some of those things going up. And we'll really have to take a wait and see approach to that. But I do think that we are a bit ahead of the curve on that and able to benefit from the opportunity and where we sit. And a lot of the conversations that we've been having over the last year or so have been logistics companies looking to open up office space here, to do different things here. I don't think that they knew that the tariffs were coming, but the onshoring or nearshoring, and America has been pushing to get more things here and produced here. And so we were a little bit ahead of that trend. And I think from a business perspective, but also as many of you guys care about the residential perspective, their employees, as they look to nearshore some of those assets, they're going to need places to live. And so I think that that's a feather in the cap or a positive tailwind for you to be able to sell, whether that's a, a single family home or a condo, as they go back and forth and continue to try to run their business.
Thank you for that. So, in your prospective organizations, is there any target that you're saying, hey, this is our mission? You know, we had this great run over the last 5 years. What's our mission to continue that momentum moving forward? Anything you want to say about the Beacon Council or DDA in specific regarding that? Any goals you have? Any new initiatives? You touched up on quite a few of them, but anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think from a Beacon perspective, we remain aligned as far as the priority industries are for the state of Florida, life sciences and healthcare, aviation and aerospace, tech, finance, and logistics. But one of the things that we are trying to be a little more intentional about is looking at the opportunities. Like, there's a lot of people knocking at our door, and we want to be there for the entire community, for business owners of all sizes. But we also want to be more intentional about where do we land those businesses. One of the key opportunities that we're starting to see emerge is this opportunity of the aerospace sector within the community of South Dade. So Space Florida has fantastic financial instruments to enable aerospace manufacturing in publicly owned property. Something like lease at lower cost, leasing machinery, doing that purchase. So we see that toolkit, and we see tremendous opportunity for landing certain projects like a satellite manufacturing. I'm not gonna say who, with nope, 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 within the community. So this is one of the things that we're gonna be looking to is how do we spread that economic opportunity across the wider county. I think there's tremendous momentum here already, but this idea of pushing out the prosperity to improve things such as traffic congestion is also one of the things that are top of mind for us.
That branding constant is amazing. Tatiana, do you want to add anything or?
Yeah, so interesting now they take the trend of attracting more workers here. Like there's some nuances to that. I'd say as a community, we have a pretty robust entry level kind of pipeline, and we have a pretty robust kind of senior level walls. We actually did the study of tech equity to understand that the people talk about there's no talent, there's no tech talent. What's going on here? We had the same conversation but supposed in the finance industry. The gap is really at that mid-level talent because folks come out of the great universities that we have here, have started careers, and then leave to New York, to California, to progress in their careers. I think that's where the challenge is, creating enough opportunities with larger, more established companies to keep our homegrown talent in our community so that they can have that momentum in their careers right here. They don't need to go to New York anymore. They don't need to go to Chicago. And I think we're on the right path together.
That's fantastic. Uh, Go ahead. You raise your hand. You have a question.
Saying there was 2 new schools open downtown. It's like regular schools or higher education schools.
He mentioned Matter Academy in Brickell, which is a charter school. They're one of the largest charter schools in the country. They probably have about 20 schools in Miami, and one of them happens to be in Brickell.
There's another one I see that for anything, but I get you.
Because that was one of the big disconnects with the growth of downtown Brickell. It's like no youth schools at all. I know that's such a joke.
So Miami-Dade,
Is it something we work on? I have conversations.
but I know what the second school is. So Miami-Dade County is opening up a school in a related project a little further north on Brickell on Second, and so it's a collaboration. So it's a public-private partnership between Related and Miami-Dade County Schools. So they're gonna have a school in the same building. It's I wanted if I had to take a shooting from the hip here, so like on Second and like 10th, more or less. It's about 4 blocks north of the Mercedes Tower. It's an elementary school. Matter is a brand of charter schools. Yeah. Yeah. You had a question back there earlier. Yes.
All right. I want to hear about your contingency plan, but she said that the DEA is grants based on the the taxes, the corporate taxes. So what could be your contingency plan if Governor DeSantis plan to do get away with the movie having taxes go through?
I could. I think I would say about that. Do you like it? That's what I would say. I think that a lot of people will need contingency plans, and a lot of governments will need contingency plans on that as well. I think they will work with all of our partners to try to figure that out if that happens. I don't have an answer over that, but I think we would all have to just work together to try to figure out what says. Right, and I could tell you that that's not necessarily the plan. The plan is really for homestead properties, and it ends up working out to about $1,000 as a break for homestead properties. I don't see that really happening for a very long time if it ever happens, which I don't think it's going to happen because sales tax would have to go through the roof. So, yeah. Other smaller places in Florida that don't have the amount of tourism that we have. I mean, that would be all cripple their governance.
Right. And so that's only happening for the homestead, not investment properties, and it's a small amount. Anybody, I know somebody else had another question. Our time is almost up. That's why I want to make sure that we have everybody here. So, we have two amazing new arsenals for people who did not know MJ and Tatiana. Right before Emerge, there was 8 companies that were coming over to Miami for the Emerge conference, and they wanted to get educated on how to open up businesses here in Miami-Dade County. I connected them to the Beacon Council. They went over to the Beacon Council the day before Emerge. They were given an amazing presentation by the Beacon Council, and know that those tools are there for us to use. They're there to help us, to help us all in the community and all of our clients that want to bring businesses down here, as well as the DDA. And the grants, the amount of grants that the DDA is offering, you really don't see. Like we don't see that in Miami Beach. We don't see that in Coral Gables. So take advantage of the fact that this is new information for many of us, and we need to use that to our advantage.
Just one more thing. We mentioned the grants and we talked a lot about business, but I want to make sure that I give you guys things that, mean something on a residential level. And again, the DDA thinks about economic development holistically. And so if you're walking around downtown and you see individuals in bright blue and bright orange shirts, they work for the DDA. That's our deck team and our ambassadors, right? And so if you're outside and it's raining, the ambassadors have an umbrella for you. The deck team is filled with 50 or 60 formerly homeless individuals that power wash, that clean graffiti. If you are a woman or a man that's downtown and for whatever reason you don't feel safe, we have a number in which you can call and they will walk you to your car, and they are out there till about 12 o'clock at night and 1 o'clock in the morning on the weekends. And so I think that those are some of the things that go and maybe aren't thinking about the traditional economic development that all revolves around business, but safety, cleanliness, and just overall community are also really important into really growing the economic powerhouse that we have.
So before we close up, I want to say, do you want to touch up on, Miami World Center? What an amazing accomplishment.
Absolutely amazing.
And now we have a new core of downtown Miami. Do you want to talk a little bit about maybe some of the businesses that are coming to Miami World Center, maybe Bayside, any new companies that you see coming in, and same for you in general for the Beacon Council, if you want to touch up on that.
I mean, I think first Miami World Center, one of the things that they say in wealth management is always follow the smart money, right? The smart money, I would argue, would be Apple. Apple has opened up the largest ground floor store that they have in America in that area.
this morning.
It's amazing. Right in the core of downtown.
And so I think that, if you think about Apple, the amount of conversations and diligence that they did to figure out that spot and decide on it, I think that we know what that means and what that area is going to do. Miami World Center has been an amazing development. It's the first Savage Fenty store in America. So you talk about retail and that being able to grow. Maple and Ash just opened. Earl's, which is an amazing restaurateur from Canada, has opened the Museum of Ice Cream. Lord have mercy.
What a big hit, huh?
They are making money hand over fist. I never knew that would be that popular, but we're extremely excited about them and happy that that's there. But I mean, downtown Miami, 500,000 people get off cruise ships every single month. The DDA district is the only place in Miami where every mode of mass transit comes. And so if you talk about a community that is vibrant, that has the walkability, and then also this really interesting factor, the DDA district, and I was looking at some numbers and we have a demographics report coming out. Hopefully we'll all exchange information you guys can come to when we launch that report. But I can't think of another area in America that has 29 to 40-year-old six-figure earners, as well as probably 55 to 80 plus multimillionaires living within blocks of each other. And if I'm thinking about economic activity, if I'm thinking about health of lifestyle, all of those things, walkability, are within the district. And so our job at the DDA is to keep it safe, to keep it clean, and to keep it going and to continue to bring events. I think the one of the things I want to say that's special about Miami, F1 in Miami is an absolutely complete different experience than F1 in Las Vegas.
Or Monaco or anywhere else.
UFC, the past 3 years has been here. It has been the largest event that they've had since the Conor McGregor fights. And every year it breaks new and new numbers. Miami is a great place to grow a business. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to bring an event. And it's easy, somewhat, to attract.
And we have
come here.
events year around. I mean, we just finished in
Art Basel,
Miami
here,
Open.
Art Basel here has taken over as the Art Basel and is bigger than the one in Switzerland or Japan by leaps and bounds. And I think yes, ma'am.
So, two things. First, somebody asked about when money comes from, and that's some of taxes. Those taxes were added that were voted on by the residents. And it's quality of life, which without quality of life, there aren't businesses and there are residences. And that's super important. And also with the awesome program, and you have done an amazing program with those
Thank you.
but promotions or incentives for small business, it's all tied to employment. They have to generate jobs that are going to be in the DDA. So also very important. But my question was, I heard a rumor that Art Basel is believing or not renewing, or what is going on with that? And does anybody have intel?
I did not hear.
I work pretty closely with the GMCVB. I haven't heard that, and I would rather say one thing. And unfortunately, she's recorded me, so I'm gonna have to try to use my words wisely. I would say technically, Art Basel is only the event that happens on the beach in the convention center. Everything else is Art Week Miami. I would argue that we could survive. I don't know about you, but I've been to Art Basel a gazillion times. I used to come from Seattle to escape the gray in Seattle and come down here. Many, many years, I never made it to the convention center, and I still had a great time.
Good answer, but I hope they're not leaving. Tatiana, you want to add anything?
Well, I do have a different history because, the family's tied to art. So we've made it to the convention center many, many times. But like
Many times.
I do not have insight into that. But what I can say that excites me about the community is the diversity of companies and businesses that are establishing themselves here. From a Kanji that set up the global headquarters in Coral Gables. They hire 100 people, are going to hire 200 more. And they're so excited about how easy it is to attract talent, because who would want to have a high paying tech job in a place like this? Right? Exactly. To, a vitamin manufacturing powerhouse all the way in Opalaca, employing 400 people and exporting their goods to all over the world, started by an Indian businessman. So it's truly magnificent, the dynamicism of everything that's happening within our community, the diversity of businesses that find success here, and how much untapped opportunity there is across the wider Miami-Dade County. So those are the things that excite me about.
It's a double-edged sword. I was listening to one of the CEOs of company at Emerge, and he was saying, I love the fact that I moved to Miami because I love to work and live here. But I'm a little worried about my employees living here because they might not necessarily want to be at the office. They might want to be out enjoying Miami. So, but yes, it definitely is a big plus.
I mean,
Yes.
really quick on that, and I think that is something that we all have to work on. perception, unfortunately, sometimes is the only reality. We need to work with the Beacon Council. We need to work with the GMCVB. I love the GMCVB and what they have done. It's sold what Miami traditionally was. And we are changing rapidly. Miami was a place where you came and had a good time. We are a global business hub. We don't need to tell as many stories about Ultra, which is absolutely amazing. We don't need to tell as many stories as some of the other events that come here. We need to tell the stories about the amazing business owners that have grown up here and created amazing business. We need to tell the great stories about the startups that are continuing to grow here. We need to change a little bit about the verbiage that we use about Miami because there is that perception. But for some of the amazing entrepreneurs that have been born here and grew up here and started businesses here, those are the stories that we need to tell a little bit more as opposed to so much of the fun and sun. The fun and sun is not going anywhere. We did that. And I think that the other part is some of the things that we need to talk about.
By the way,
Tatiana.
So I have a quick add to that. When I tell people that my job is to sell Miami-Dade County, it's like, oh, what an easy job. But that's it, it actually it is not. Precisely for the reasons that MJ has just outlined, which is people have this misperception of, a laid-back workforce, a beautiful place to be. And a lot of a lot of my time is actually spent re-educating the business leader, opening up the map of Miami-Dade County, sharing, the different communities, the different assets, the different industries that are here, and say that there's so much more than a beautiful place in the water. Yes, that's also part of what we are about, but we shouldn't be so reductive and anchor the story of economic success in Miami only to that.
Tatiana, if anybody here wants to become a member of the Beacon Council, can they?
Yes.
So as an individual, you could become a member of the Beacon
Yes,
Council.
absolutely.
So go to the website or talk to Tatiana, but we could all become members of the Beacon Council, be more informed, out of sight, out of mind, stay close to the nucleus of great people like this. Thank you again. Thank you, MJ. Thank you, Tatiana, for doing what you do.
Thank you so much.
And we just have to continue to learn, expand, and use our resources. Thank you for being a part of the Master Broker Forum. We're gonna have some food coming around. If some of us can help us move some of these chairs back so we can enjoy the space, it'll be very helpful. Thank you very much, all.